So very warm welcome to everyone. Hello. My name is Daisy and I work for Oxford Summer Courses. I work in their marketing department and I've been with the company for about a year now. But I will also introduce you to Antonio, who is joining us today, who is a serial entrepreneur, long-standing tutor at Oxford Summer Courses, and also teacher at Oxford, involved with the Said Business School, and a fellow of Balliol College, teaching in venture finance and venture creation. So thank you very much, Antonio, for joining us today. I will hand over to you to kick off our taster seminar.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, and I'm very pleased to be here today and to walk the prospect students through the leadership taster seminar, just to give them a flavor how the Oxford Summer Courses are typically structured, what they can expect if they join a business and entrepreneurship or a leadership program, and what is the main takeaways for them when they complete the course. So what we're discussing, yes, please.
Sorry to jump in. I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions during the webinar, feel free to drop them into the question box. We will also have time for questions at the end, so you can either type them in and we'll answer them at the end, or save your question and ask them live at the end. Up to you, but sorry to interrupt you, Antonio.
No, thank you very much. That's very important information, of course. We want the students to benefit as much as they can from this taster session. So let me kick off right away. Hold on a second. Slides not moving. Maybe this is okay. Wonderful. So what is this all about? Typically, when I start and welcome you in my classrooms, when you would join the program in person, I typically kick off and say, I will not teach you anything, but I will make you think. And that's pretty much what the way we structure things in Oxford is. Not so much about what you think, but how you think. And we take you by the hand and try and sharpen the way you think and look at the world in the wider context, no matter what subject you're taking, with a different approach, small class groups, and so that you can basically take away the biggest benefit from these courses. Today, the structure is going to be that we will analyze what actually a leader is, what describes a leader, what defines leadership, who is a leader, and if anyone can be a leader. And these are very important questions because leadership comes in many ways, comes in many forms, and you will find leadership in every aspect of life, whether it is academic, professional, educational, in your studies, in your day-to-day life. You will always come across some sort of leadership. And all of you in your own right, you are actually leaders. You may just not realize it. And you may not perceive yourself as leaders because maybe the way you look at leadership is a more traditional way of looking at things. But take my word, you're all leaders in your own right. So what is a leader and how is leadership defined? And typically we start by sectioning and dividing leadership and comparing leadership versus management. So what is leading and what is management? These are two completely different things. And the students very often mistake management with a leadership role, or a leadership role with a management role. But this is not necessarily the case. So leadership, the leaders, they actually focus on the people. Why? Because as a leader, you need to engage with the people that are supposed to follow you. So leadership has a lot to do with followership. People will not follow you just because they potentially like what they hear and because they think you're a brilliant person. Leadership is giving people a perspective. And that's why you have to focus on the people. You have to focus on the group of followers that you want to basically guide to the desired future. Okay, so you create a vision. You have to have the vision. You need to understand where the journey is going. Otherwise, people will not follow you. Your look is very much future oriented. You have to look at the future. You are figuring out what's possibly happening in the future. And that's why you need to have that vision. And that's why you need to create a compelling narrative for the people to actually follow you. You cannot do everything alone. That's why you have to have the ability to empower people, to allow them to make mistakes and learn, and thereby build confidence and support them. You develop a theory of change, because why is change important? Simply because the future is different from what you're doing today. So if you don't have a vision where you want to go and what better future you want to create for your followers, you will have hardship in engaging with the people and group them behind you. As I like to say, a leader walks alongside you in order to create this change. And you're using influence. You're using your influence, your sphere of power, because you need to have the ability to influence the decision making and the thought process of the people that follow you, your followers and your followership, to create a better future for your stakeholders. You follow and lead by example. You lead by example. Okay, so leadership is very much a mindset, whereas management, you focus on the execution. Whatever leadership determines, they need managers, they need people that can execute on the vision. So while leadership is looking to the future, management is looking to solve the here and now. Someone needs to implement and execute on the strategy that you have developed. You are executing the plan that the leadership team has created. You focus on the present, because what you do today will have an impact on the outcomes of the future. So if I'm the leader, I create the pathway, the vision of the outcomes I want the organization and the people to achieve in the future. But we have to start from here, from the present, and we have to build a way to get to the desired outcomes. And that's where the management team, the executives, come to play. They control that the employees, the teams, the stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders, follow that vision, follow that plan, follow that path. And they manage change. As we said, we cannot solve and address the problems with the same mindset that have created those problems. So the leader figures out the new things, and the manager ensures that these change culture is implemented. And contrary to the leaders, they use authority, whereas the leader uses influence. As a leader, I'm influencing you to change your mind, to follow me. I'm using soft power, whereas a manager potentially has to use hard power. That's why we say leadership is relational. It's a relations game. It's not hierarchical. You're not following me because I am the boss or I am telling you to do so. You're following me because I am creating the environment and the conditions for you to trust me and agree to follow me. Hence why it is a relationship. You're not following me blindly because I'm paying you better money. I'm more convincing. You're following me because you trust me, because you trust me that I have figured out a way to improve the status quo and give you the possibility to grow intellectually, personally, and professionally. That's why you decide to follow me. Moving on, as I said, leadership is defining a way and finding a way to bring us to the desired futures. That's why the vision, that's why we have a plan, right? That's why we figured out how we want to get there, and we need the management to build that road for us. So high impact leaders, and I'm deliberately using the word high impact because that's what we want to do. We don't want to be average people. We want to be high impact leaders. We have to be conscious that we should align the commercial success of the organization with the positive outcome for society and environment. It's the so-called triple bottom line. So that means that whatever we do, success is an outcome. Financial success, economic success is an outcome of all the activities that we do. And only if we align the purpose of the organization to serve the environment and to serve society, we will be successful. It's very simple. If my business is not addressing a problem for you as the consumer, you will not buy my product and you will not buy my service. I'm useless. As a consequence, I will not have commercial success because the purpose of the organization is not aligned with the needs and wants and the demands of the customers, which is the society. And lately, of course, it's also more and more related to environmental benefits, not destroying the planet, not destroying the biodiversity, which is more important to your generation than it was to my generation, your parents' generation, and our grandparents' generation. So the traditional leadership is mostly focused on transforming and succeeding within a current economic and social system. And now we are saying modern leadership needs to transform these systems. we cannot address the current issues with the old mindset that have created them. So we need to transform the systems, we need to transform our mindset. And that's the challenge of leadership today and in the future. Leaders need to have qualities and abilities like complex problem solving. It's a very complex word out there, okay? Because of globalization, everything is connected. If we take the geopolitical tensions that we have in the Middle East and Central Eastern Europe, they have a global impact. They disrupt value chains, supply chains. They have the power to possibly create imbalances in other economies. And you as the leader, you need to have the ability to figure all of these complex solutions and then narrow it down to what your organization, what your business is supposed to do. Very critical thinking. We need to have the ability to question everything. We need to have the ability to explore new frontiers. Creativity. Creativity is important because we cannot solve new problems with an old mindset. So we have to come up with new creative solutions. Stakeholder engagement is very important. We have internal and external stakeholders. Internal stakeholders are the employees and everyone that works inside the organization. And external stakeholders is everyone else, from your suppliers, from your customers, from your investors, from your business partners, and the community. They are your external stakeholders. You need to have a very developed emotional intelligence. In other words, empathy. In other words, the ability to put yourself into the other parties, the other people's shoes. You have to have the ability to look at whatever you do from the perspective of the beneficiary. And the cognitive flexibility is to have the flexibility to reflect, slow down, take conscious decisions. Conscious decisions means also to make sure that the flow of information that you have that will lead you to take an informed decision is impeccable. So you need to make sure that you have the right people at the right place at the right time that will be able to give you the information that puts you as the leader in a condition to take an informed decision, because whatever you decide today will have consequences in the future. This is why you should have a forward-looking attitude. Try and look beyond the obvious. So what are the top 5 leadership principles? We have touched on them a little bit throughout the presentation. And basically what we're saying is we are breaking them down into a clear vision and direction. The leader needs to know where the journey is going and inspire the people in the organization and motivate the people to that common goal. Empowerment means empowering the team members to take responsibility and accountability, to make decisions, and encourage the sense of ownership and growth. Okay, so a modern leader will always encourage the people to make mistakes. Of course, you should possibly not smash the company to the wall and break it. Please don't do that. But a modern leader creates an environment in an organization of learning and the ability to make mistakes and grow. Leaders need to be effective communicators in telling the narrative, telling their vision, sharing their vision to the internal and external stakeholders, and build clear communication channels inside the organization and outside the organization. Clear communication is paramount to avoid silly mistakes and misunderstandings. So pay attention to communicate very clearly, very openly. And if you do not know the answer, don't be afraid of telling your followers or your employees, I don't currently have an answer to this question, but I know where to get the answer. Leave it with me, and I will get back to you with the answer or the solution to whatever the problem or the question is. And that's where your sphere of influence comes to play, because you are in the position where you are because you are surrounded by the people that can provide you the answer. But your duty is to make sure that the quality of the information that you receive is impeccable. This is your responsibility to make sure. We live in we live in a time of communication, but we're actually not communicating with each other. We just exchange some information, but we're not really communicating with each other. So that's an issue of modern times. And as we all know, we're also exposed to lots of fake news. And as a leader, as a decision maker, as a business owner, you cannot rely on poor quality information. As I like to say, junk in, junk out. So you need to make sure that you have an impeccable flow of information that is validated, that can be verified, and can withstand the test of time. Adaptability. Yes, we need to be very agile. We need to be adaptable to external or potentially even internal influences, and pivot when necessary. If we understand and realize that a decision, a vision, a pathway is not providing the desired outcomes, we need to have the courage to stop, go back to the drawing board, and pivot. Pivot is no failure. Pivot is actually being smart to realize that something doesn't work. And have the courage to pull the brake and say, we need to correct the direction of travel, because otherwise we're going to hit the iceberg. Why would you do that, right? We learned from the Titanic history, it's not a good choice if you hit the iceberg. So stop, slow down, change the course of direction if you have to. Continuous learning. Yes, continuous learning is two ways. You as an individual, and provide the opportunities for continuous learning on the job, trainings for your employees that will help them progress and grow. Remember, it's not about you. you are already the leader. You want to empower people to move on and grow professionally and personally, and then release them and be even a better leader than we are. That's what we are. As current leaders, we need to provide you the ecosystem, the opportunity to grow. That's why you're coming to Oxford Summer Course, to learn and get all those tools into your toolkit to go out and improve yourselves. So these are the 5 leadership, the top 5. I mean, there's many more, but obviously these are just the more important ones. And hold on a second. Here we go. Right. So you tell me how we're doing on time, because I can't really see.
We're at 30 minutes at the moment. Feel free to, keep going.
Okay, wonderful. So what are the leadership principles for the next gen? But you will see that they're basically not very much different to what we would assume would be a sound principle and a logic principle for any individual. We need to lead by example. We cannot expect people to follow us if we are leading by bad example. And unfortunately, we have a lot of bad examples as CEOs and leaders in current times. But we also had them in the past. Seek change, not fame. Again, it's not about us. It's not about us getting rich and famous. It's about improving the organization, provide a service, provide a product that adds value to your customers and your partners. We're already famous. We're already rich because we will succeed in what we do, and because we are successful in providing change and adding value, customers will buy our products and our services. They will spend money on the solutions and the product and services that we deliver to them. So very often I have students that come to the Oxford Summer Course, or anyway in classroom, also at the business school. I ask them, why are you here? Oh, I want to become rich. Yeah, but that's the wrong approach. Okay, you will become rich because of what you do. The riches do not fall off the sky. Fame, accreditation, admiration, everything is a result of what you do. Bear this in mind. Focus on the essence of being a leader. As we said, leadership is relational. Okay, it's about the people. It's empowering the people through change, and we figure out that pathway to change. Values are at the heart of every action. What values do we represent? Goes back to number 1, leading by example. Okay. The beauty of being the manager, of being the leader, or being a business owner is that you can shape the culture of your organization. It's very powerful. You can decide how people deal with each other. What is the tone of the communication? How do we treat others? And they will follow your example. If you are kind, if you are empowering and helpful to people, you will create a positive climate in your organization. Leaders very often overlook this important element. Nurture the next generation of leaders. That's exactly the empowerment, right? It's about you. It's not about me. I am already a leader. So what I am doing is I want you to be even more successful than me. Go out there. I will be very proud of you. Go out and change the world. And I will tell all my people and say, look at the beautiful and wonderful leader I have been privileged to support. But I will be proud of you. Go and do better than me. It's not about me. It's about you. All right. So go out there. Embrace vulnerability and adversity. Yes. Surrender to the power of doubt. Let that sink in. Surrender to the power of doubt. Just because you're the leader, it doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. It's not possible. And don't even try that. Your advantage is that you know where to go and get the answers. And maybe you will have to create an answer just by following your intuition. But because of the experience and because of the people and the network of people you have around you, you will be able to figure out a good pathway. And sometime a leader and an entrepreneur just needs to have the ability to reach out to the sky and grab the first star that passes by and confide to his ability that he's made a good choice or she's made a good choice. And if not, pivot, admit it. Oh, sorry, this is not a good way. Let's slow down. Let's pivot. There's an iceberg in front of us. Cultivate diversity and collaboration. Yes, you want to have a large group of diverse people. This is the best thing you can have because everyone will contribute with their creativity, with their experience to shape a very informed decision. And you want to have a critical voice in the boardroom and not have all the yes men and yes girls. You want to have someone that has the courage to get up and say, sorry, Mrs. and Mr. CEO, I disagree with this. And your question should be, oh, thank you. Why do you disagree? Because this individual may see things that we don't see. Thank you. This is why they are in the board. This is why they are in the room. And you need to foster this culture to have the ability to express the opinion and listen. As a leader, the first thing you do is basically you listen. You need to have the ability to listen. And last but not least, harness ambiguity and uncertainty. Yeah, because the world, what do we know what happens in 5 or 10 years? We don't even know what happens next week, right? We can't really foresee. So we need to have the ability to look ahead and plan for all the eventualities as much as it's possible. Again, you are where you are because you have people around you that will give you that insight, that will give you that input. And here are leadership styles. This is the last slide I have for our presentation today. We differentiate between 6 main leadership styles. And you can decide for yourself which one you want to be. But let me tell you this, you are each and every one of this. You need to have the ability to choose your style depending on the situation you are in or your organization is in, depending on what type of problem you need to solve. And it also depends on the different type of people, diversity that you have in the room. Not every individual responds in the same way to the solicitation and the challenges. Coaching, as the word says, imagine, is like if you are in a sports club, if you are doing anything, you have a coach, right? The coach will engage with you, will help you develop your skills, will help you become better, and will help you to grow. An affiliative leader, it's basically someone that will come to you and say, I'm one of yours. I just happen to be in that position of responsibility, but I'm one of yours. We are all the same. Please trust me, follow me. The commanding leader is, like the field marshal in the field, could be your captain in your sports team. Sometime your coach is shouting at you and says, you're not performing. Why did you go out of position? And you need to be here, and you're there. Commanding, right? Is giving you clear instructions, clear direction. Do this. No questions asked. This is the problem. This is the solution. Go. And sometimes this is important in a time of crisis. Okay? You cannot have any second thoughts. The problem is urgent. You need to solve it. Pace setting is similar to commanding, with the difference that a pace setting leader will tell you, follow my example. I do it first, and you do the same. A commander will tell you, do. A pace setting leader will tell you, look at me, and do the same. So it's a more proactive role, but it's still very, very precise instructions, what you have to do. A democratic leader, it's basically inviting for everyone's opinion. We have this problem, and typically the leader speaks last. Because if I, as a leader, speak first, I influence your input. I may influence your thinking. So make it a habit. As a leader, you should always speak last, because that gives the other people in the room the opportunity to express themselves. You listen, you collect. And then you go and say, and open up and say, the main consensus in the room, from what I've heard, is this and this and this and this. Here is my view. Here is what I would add to this. What do you think? Democracy means the majority decides. It's an old Greek word, which means the majority decides. So there is an opportunity maybe where the leader comes down to the level of the employee, let alone he should not be on the pedestal anyway, but he comes down and invites for your opinion. And imagine how powerful this is. If the leader turns to you and says, Simon, I'm interested in your opinion. What do you think? Right? And maybe you think you're the small little gray mouse in the room and your opinion is not valued. Well, I mean, how does this boost your self-confidence if I invite for your opinion? I have hired you because you have a talent. I have hired you because you have a skill that I don't have. Otherwise, I would not hire you. And because we have this empowering mindset, we value each and everyone's opinion. And then the visionary is the one that figures out the future and designs a new horizon, a new way for the organization. And then shares it with the staff, with the team, and say, well, this is what I think. This was the problem. This is the solution I came up with. And then, maybe puts it up puts it up to the floor and says, what do you think? Which would be a democratic, right? And then you have some people saying, well, but I'm a bit scared, which is your coach, right? And then don't worry, I'm with you. We are in this journey together. Is your affiliative. So you will be all of this, maybe several times a day, depending who is the audience and who you're dealing with. Now, over a long period of time, typically, a commanding and a pace-setting leader is considered a bit toxic for the work environment because you have to work constantly under pressure. And depending on which industry you're in, this can be very tiring. This can be very energy absorbing, energy drain, and obviously mental drain, and mental health is extremely important today. So generally speaking, a affiliative, coaching, visionary, and democratic leader can achieve better success, higher engagement rate from the people and the employees compared to a commanding and pace setting. But as I said, you are each and every one of those, and you will have to have the ability to navigate all these 6 slices of the cake at the same time, simultaneously, and don't be afraid if you actually realize, oh my God, I'm a commanding or a pace-setting leader, which is not something I have been actually perceiving myself. Well, this is just the ability to take a clear decision, a clear pathway when the case requires it. So this is all from me for today. Obviously, in-class seminar, we would spend like 3 hours on these kind of things and really drill into it and give the students the opportunity to absorb all of this. It's quite complex, but I've tried to keep it as compact as possible for the time that we have available.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Antonio. I am going to just steal the screen from you, so I can run through these last few slides. I'd also like to introduce you to Simon Flint, who is the head of admissions here at Oxford Summer Courses. He is going to help us run through a few of these slides. Just around Oxford Summer Courses generally. Simon, we are slightly pressed for time, so I have control of the slides, but if you want me to skip through them, just shout and I can jump through them if needs be.
Well, thanks, Daisy, and thanks very much, Antonio. That was really interesting. It was a great presentation, and hopefully it's shown everyone what to expect, the kind of teaching you'd expect, the kind of level you'd expect if you were to come and study with us at Oxford Summer Courses this summer. Yeah, fascinating presentation, Antonio. Thanks so much. So yeah, as Daisy said, I'll just quickly go through. We've only got 15 minutes left. So I'll quickly go through any of the, admissions process, a little bit about where the courses take place, just to give you a little bit more information. It is a good chance to maybe ask some questions as well. So if you have questions about how to apply and things, just put them in the Q&A section and I'll prioritize them as we go through. So yeah, maybe Jason, we can sort of flick to the end of the presentation quickly today.
Sorry, it's just stopped me scrolling. I'm not sure why.
No worries.
Oh, there we go. Which one do you want, Simon?
Yeah, maybe we could just go to like the locations at the start first. Should we just go straight to the locations bit?
No, sorry. Taste of Cambridge. Start your Oxford adventure. Yep. Are you happy with this one?
I can still just see the front page.
Oh no. The tech is finally failing us.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll start off. I'll just sort of chat and we'll see if this will start working. So basically, we have courses for students aged 9 to the age of 24. We have juniors courses 9 to 12. These take place in boarding schools. So for example, this year we're using Eton, Harrow, and St. John's Beaumont. And yeah, we have a sort of different selection of subjects there. They're boarding school life, and you can apply for courses in there. We have 13 to 15s, which take place in either Oxford or Cambridge. So you can study a range of about 40 different subjects at the age of 13 to 15. For example, business and entrepreneurship or leadership, as Antonio showed you. But we also have other things like art and humanities, medicine, physics, over 40 subjects. So lots and lots of examples to see. What makes us different? I think you have seen a little bit of what makes us different. This is a chance to kind of work in a really small environment with some of the, some great tutors, for example, Antonio. We have a small class size of only 8 students. I think the most, it was really telling, Antonio, you said it right at the start, it's about making you think, not teaching you, making you become how to think, how to learn, how to explore ideas in a lot more depth. We speak to a lot of students when they finish these courses, and that's always what they say, basically, is the thing that they get out of it most, and really changed their kind of experience of learning in their lives. Yeah, I'm sure you all go to school. You also are used to a kind of curriculum where a teacher will explain what's happening. You listen, you memorize, and you write it down. You sort of write it down back in the form of an essay at the end. Whereas here, it's much more, we test your ideas. We want you to kind of come up with your own, your own opinions and basically justify them as well. As you probably gathered with the people on this call, we have over 100 different nationalities on our courses. So it's, again, a great chance not just to, expand your horizons in terms of your subject, but also expand your horizons as in meeting students from across the world. Should we just go through to the next one from here, Jay-Z? Yep. Obviously, Oxford is pretty special. It's one of the oldest, well, it's the oldest English-speaking university in the world. Parts of it are almost 1,000 years old. So you've got that history as well of learning of the style. So come and you can walk the corridors of great academics of the past. See the historic buildings. Really stay in colleges that very few people often get to see. And it's all quite close to each other. So it's a small town. It's not like a big city like London that can be quite overwhelming. The city of Oxford is much more manageable, and a great way to kind of experience a different type of university and that history. So we'll keep whizzing through, I think. Yep, so this is basically kind of already mentioned most of this. All our courses are 2 weeks in Oxford. The age groups we do there, 13 to 15, 16, 17, and 18, 24. Maximum class size of 8, so you'll never be in a class of more than 8 students. Actually, the average tends to be around 5 or 6. So again, it's kind of an intensive learning experience in terms of you are, you're not lost in a big class of 15 students or more. You get a good chance to express yourself, express your ideas, and a really good chance for tutors to kind of see how you're doing and give you personalized feedback on what you're doing. And often just learn a little bit about what you're most interested in. You'll notice we don't have necessarily a really strict syllabus before the courses start. We don't tell our tutors you have to go through this, this, and this. We let our tutors go through what interests them, but also just kind of tailor what they're doing to what interests you as well. So we have 2 room types. We have a shared room and we have ensuite rooms that you can choose on the apply form when you sign up. Shall we move on? Similarly, go through this quite quickly. We have courses in Cambridge. It's the same age groups. It's pretty much the same style. But we sometimes have students who are dreaming of Cambridge instead of Oxford. It's kind of a personal choice often. Founded slightly later than Cambridge and Oxford. And sometimes there's a reputation for things like biotechnology, neuroscience, which are subjects that we run only in Cambridge. So should we move on? Yeah, so there's some of the subjects that we have available just there. natural sciences as well, and economics and finance are available only in Cambridge. And same room types available if you choose on the apply form. Move on from there. I think I'll go through these ones quite quickly because I didn't see too many people interested in these courses, but we also have the juniors, which are boarding school courses, which take place in Harrow as one location, but we also have Eton and St. John's as well. Well, yeah, I'll quickly go through this one. It is academic, but also it's a summer course as well. So, there is a chance not just to kind of learn a lot and experience the classroom, but also get that, that kind of cultural aspect. So as you can see, someone hunting on the river, traditional Oxford and Cambridge experience. But we also do all sorts of, day trips around the UK and things like that. So it's a chance to, get a little bit of a cultural insight into the UK, but also meet your students and spend social time with your fellow students on all sorts of different subjects. I think what you sort of get from a college atmosphere and why Oxford is around colleges is that you spend social time not just with the people who study your subject, but you get to spend social time with people who are studying a range of other subjects. And I think that exchange of that kind of natural and social exchange of ideas across people interested in different things is part of what makes a college environment so special, because you really get to build sort of a wider knowledge base, not just sort of limited to one subject or anything. It's cool. So we'll move on. Yep, so you did have the prices, what's included. So yeah, all the teaching, obviously, in both the seminars and tutorials. Actually didn't mention the tutorials, I'll quickly go through them. So that's a chance once a week with just you and one other student and your tutor. Usually you'll have done a piece of work beforehand, so an essay or a submission of some sort. And in that tutorial, you will go through, you'll go through your essay. I think that, that again, what you might be used to in kind of traditional education is you do an essay, you hand it in, you get it back with a big number at the bottom, a lot of red marks on it. You never think about it ever again. Whereas this, you actually have to go in and justify face to face with your tutor. Why did you come up with that idea? Why did you say this? Where did this come from? And you get feedback in the moment. It's that kind of quick feedback loop on how to learn. Very, very unique to Oxford and Cambridge, this teaching style. In Oxford, it's tutorials. In Cambridge, it's collections, I believe. But it's, it's a very similar thing. And again, really builds that ability to think for yourself, to justify your opinions, not just kind of get the number at the bottom of the page, basically. Other things included, yeah, accommodation, breakfast, it's all there. We also have travel insurance and airport transfers as well. Cool, yeah, we will move on. So yeah, basically the next step would be to submit an application for our courses. All you have to do is go to our website, oxfordsummercourses.com. In the top right, you'll see a apply button. You just need to write, choose your course, choose your room type, everything like that. And also write a short personal statement. This is kind of for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, we have a lot of students who English is their first language. The courses are taught in English. So you do need to have a good level of English to do these courses. But also because of the way we teach, it is about being involved, being part of the class. So we really want students who are passionate about their subjects, who are really interested and want to do well, want to be part of a active seminar, with energy, with kind of people who really are, want to exchange their ideas. So yeah, what we want to hear from you basically is just a explanation of why you're passionate about your subject. I would say we're not looking for, grades or anything like that. It's more about your passion. People come to these things at different times, and we want to be open to everyone. So if you're interested in learning, we're very happy to have you on a course with us. So yeah, you can spend a bit of time writing a short personal statement. And at that point, our admissions team will be in touch with you and we'll be able to help you through the rest of the process. Cool. I'm just running in time, 3 minutes here. Great. So